from
Hi.
Instagram.
Okay.
Hi, we are
Hi.
live. I'm just going to go live on Instagram really quick and then
Okay.
we're going to get started today. Hello, everybody. You guys jumped on fast. I'm telling you, you say the word pets, people jump on,
We'll
man.
jump. Yes, yes. People love their pets.
For those that know me, you probably don't know Alex. So, Alex,
Hi, folks.
tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Alex. I'm 33 years old. I work in veterinary medicine, specifically in ER, so emergency. And I've been in the field for about ten years or so, and I've been in emergency for about 5. So I've seen a lot and know a lot about animal behavior and just a lot about pets in general. So ranging from dogs, cats to horses, and a little bit about cattle, but we probably won't get into that here. Looks like we have a
Oh.
lot of dogs and cats that we're gonna take a look at today. So I'm excited to do that with y'all.
So, are you sort of like, now bear with me, like a doctor
Mhm.
where people are like, "Oh, ask Alex, she'll know about their pets," where you're constantly getting people going, "Why does my?" And you're like, "Please don't ask me that again."
Yes and no. I feel like I sometimes yes with like family friends or things like that I'll get messages and be like, hey, so my pet's doing this, and what do you recommend? And I'm like, well, usually if I can't actively see their pet, it's really hard for me to
Mm.
assess and to make a good recommendation. But if I can answer some questions for them, and then if I don't get any kind of definitive answer that way, I'll be like, well, you should probably go see your veterinarian to try and get a proper diagnosis for this. But sometimes I can answer some questions for them that would be helpful.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah,
Because I get that
yeah,
too, right? "Oh, do you know what I'm thinking?
right.
Do you know what my pet's thinking?" And it
Yes,
is usually from people you know, right?
yes. It's never, I mean, it's every once in a while I'll be in scrubs and go to like the grocery store and somebody will ask me what I do, and I'm like, oh, I'm in veterinary medicine. They'll start talking about their pet and I'm like, well, this is nice. I'm just trying to check out. Yeah, thankfully it doesn't happen all that often just outside of work. So
And then did you
yeah.
choose that, like, did you know I wanted to go to an ER versus a regular, veterinarian's office, or was it just like, "Who's gonna hire me?"
No, so initially I started off in general practice, which is, like wellness appointments,
Mhm.
vaccines, spaying, neutering, dental procedures for pets' teeth, things like that. And I did that for about 5 years. And, it was great. It was a good start for me because I got to learn the basics, got to learn, about anesthesia and monitoring anesthesia. I got to take dental x-rays, which was really fun for me. I really liked the dental aspect of general practice. But just I got to learn a lot about pet behavior in that time and how to handle certain situations, things like that. And then I'm a very, like Miriam and I were just talking about this, I'm sort of an impulsive person. And I get sort of bored kind of easily,
Mm.
unfortunately. So I love when I see new things and can learn new things. And I decided to go into urgent care, which did see emergencies, but it started off as an urgent care. And my love for emergency sort of grew from there. And then
Mm.
I decided to apply to the practice that I'm currently working at in ER and have been really happy where I am. I love the uh, difficult slash different cases that we see. And it has really, helped help me grow in my
Mm.
profession, honestly. So,
You know,
and just help me grow as a person.
I love that because for those of you that are on Patreon and on TikTok and here, you always hear me talk about your skill sets. And one of the things that I was talking about, we did a special equinox. Eclipse. It was an eclipse
Okay.
Wednesday. I'm
Mhm.
still like, honestly, I've never really been that person that's like, oh, where I'm blaming my screw ups on what's going on in the
Mhm.
planet. This time it's been nuts with the eclipse. But I talked about how we want to be able to, like in that meditation I did, in infusing your psychic skill sets, which inevitably they already are, but as we grow into our psychic skill sets, sometimes they become sort of separate, and until we realize how to fuse them with our everyday living, and then fuse them with our jobs. And so, when you said you had this thrill or excitement for urgent or emergencies, it's like, isn't that
Mhm.
so important that every personality, every psychic skill set is different, because everything is needed, so my
Right.
psychic skill set is good at A, B, and C, and someone else might go, I could never do that work. And but everyone's work is just as important. And as we work together, we're going to start to see your skill sets, your psychic skill sets, and how those incorporate. And we're going to hear stories. And I'm sure you're already seeing how it incorporates with your work. But
Yeah.
I can imagine there's just so much crossover there, utilizing your intuition. Like my mom is a Nana. She's a big, she's like
Mhm.
she's my biggest fan. If I only have one person viewing, it's Nana. And
Okay.
when she saw us, and she's incredibly into like psychic. She's got her psychic skill sets too, very aware of them, uses them. And that was her
Right.
response, was how in tune you were. She goes, you can feel how in tune she is with animals,
Oh,
and so it's going to be fun to hear your stories, which we will be hearing some of her stories. We're going to try seeing how it goes. We're going to do one or two readings. We've got a bunch of readings, so of course we'll do the Patreon members first, and then we'll hear a story from Alex. We'll go back and do some readings, hear a story from Alex, unless you guys are like, shut up with the readings. We want more stories from Alex.
man.
All right. So let me jump into the comments really quick and just say hi to you guys. Okay, good. Everybody's here. Is Jade, are you Violet's sister? Hi Christy. This will be fun. Jody. Jody, I think I sent you a follow-up. I wasn't sure which question you wanted me to answer. Everyone says hi to you, Alex. Here, I'm not posting them. I'm just reading them. There you go. I
Oh,
think, Alex, can you
hi.
see them to the right? The comments to the right of your screen? Are they on your
I
screen? May
only
not be.
s- I only see Jody. I think it's the ones that
That I
you're
post?
posting or oh,
Okay.
I can see more. I can see more now. I think it's just slowly popping up for me.
Okay, good. Okay, hi you guys. All right, so let's get into this. First up, I was just explaining to Alex, it's hard to keep all of this organized, so you guys need to bear with me. I want to make sure I do this correctly. Please, if I say the wrong dog or I get pets confused, like please jump in. Fortunately, Alex is back up too. She's got everything that I have. So we're going to start with Leon. I'm assuming you guys are cool, and please tell me if you're not. I should have asked, and it didn't occur to me till I started putting the show together, and I'm like, oh, I want to do this. If you don't want me showing your dog, tell me. Obviously, I'm not showing your house or any humans. Um, but I thought it would be fun to have their little faces on there while we do the read. So we've
Absolutely.
got Leon. Isn't
I
that
think
cute?
so.
Yeah,
It's really cute.
it's so much more fun. So let's get into this, you guys. And any recommendations you guys have on what you want us to talk more about, what you want to see. Also, have not mentioned this to Alex, but for those on Patreon, if we want to scoop up Alex and bring her over to Patreon, tell us how you want us to do that. I've been thinking about how to incorporate her, and how to incorporate the animals and that whole world, because it's so fun. But you guys will let us know. So let's start with Leon. Okay, so Leon, how do I help him find peace? Not be so reactive. He is highly reactive to any person or dog while outside in the yard or in the car. How can I further help unify her three dogs? Leon wants to be friends, but the other two don't like him. Oh my God, I hate
Aw,
those stories. Look
I
at
know.
Leon. Oh my
He's got
God.
a big smile in his picture.
He does. Okay, I'm if okay, Alex, actually hold your thoughts so that you can match up with, then because if you go first, then people are going to be like, she's not psychic, she's just repeating what Alex says. So let me go first, but I got to pull up these photos. So give me a sec. As we talked about, organization is key, and I am
Mhm.
here. I've got my little folder. I just need to find it. Thursday, pet reads, and we're doing I call it Violet, but it's Leon. Okay, so I'm looking at some of the other children. Oh my God, Leon. Okay, Leon's energy. So let's talk about this. This is important, you guys, and it's very hard for. There we go. All right, I got all three of them up here. Next time I'll get better and put maybe more of so you guys can see what I see because they're so cute. But let's start with this. Important to remember, just like with children, animals have their own karma. They have their own experiences. Hang on, one of them is knocking on my door. I need to let them in. I cannot do a live pet show without my animals in here. Come, who's coming in? Anyone? Come on. Come on. All right. Everyone's okay. Oh my gosh, they're coming in. Come here, come here, come here, come here. Opie, come in. Oliver, you're in here now, babe. No one's coming out. I mean, do you not spend your lives opening and closing doors for your animals?
Definitely do that all the
Definitely
time.
do that. Okay, suckers. So, Leon, everyone has karma. Animals have karma. Children have karma. So it's easy to talk to parents and be like, listen, your child came in with their own choices and karmic patterns they need to clear, and all same with animals. What makes it hard is then we have to sit back and go, okay, we're just supposed to sort of watch this happen. Yes and no. Obviously there's things we can do, but sometimes we are who we are, right? And there's some things we can change and some things we can't change. I say that because Leon is that kid at school who is a little awkward and doesn't understand why he's awkward, doesn't understand why he's not fitting in, doesn't understand why am I not like everybody else. It has nothing to do with him being a tripod dog. This is all personality driven. You have two other dogs that are very confident dogs. This is what I feel. And I'm not saying Leon isn't confident, but I'm saying that Leon is just passive enough to sort of get pushed around. And that passive, I'm not going to try that word, that passive behavior feels like something he brought in with him. And I don't know, we'll look to Alex in a moment for that. I don't know how much that can be changed, right? That nurture versus nature type thing. I'm looking at photos of the pet parent also to see where it's coming from. I noticed that Leon looks to not be so reactive. He's highly reactive to any personal dog. Um, he looks to you. He looks to you uh, for cues. I know that's sort of a animal pet training 101 type thing, but I've experienced not all dogs do that. Some are very confident and make their own choices. But because Leon looks to you to what do I do next? If there's confusion where you're maybe I'm not saying you do this, I'm using it as an example. If you're on your phone or you're talking to someone or you're not really paying attention, you're not seeing, like, if there's someone coming forward, like coming towards you guys, and you he sees them before you do, it's all over. You have to be able to see them before he does, and then make those shifts, getting next to behind a car, not hiding, but just, getting space in between you and the other animal. And that's good. That for him, he's feeling like, okay, she's seeing what I'm seeing. And again, I know a lot of this sounds like training, but a lot of what I say does align with what trainers would say. Uh, so helping him find peace, I'm going to say something you probably don't want to hear. He's got the perfect home, but I don't know that he's ever going to really ever be. I just don't feel that that may be in his makeup. But Alex, jump in and then I'll jump back in.
So reactivity to me is always something that you kind of have to navigate carefully. Uh, I like to do sort of like when I see reactive pets, it's sort of like you want to do exposure therapy from a distance. And as Miriam said, if Leon's sort of looking to you for either reassurance, for guidance, or if he's confused about how he should react to something, you have to be ready and able to notice those cues from him. And kind of what I would recommend is having like a small treat bag if you're going out with him, so that when he is paying attention to you, you want to be able to reward that because in that moment he's paying attention to you and not to the other things that could be his trigger, right?
Mhm.
So if it's another dog, if it's another person, reward him when he returns his attention to you. And what I like to say is if you're going out on walks, I know you mentioned that he's reactive in your yard or potentially your home, also in the car. If you can set up a time or a place with a friend or, a family member who maybe Leon doesn't know super well, who could just, kind of walk. He is treat motivated. That's great. So you could just do, kind of have somebody say you're in the car or in the yard or something like that. You could have somebody walk by kind of on repeat or maybe from like far away. And then, try to get his attention with treats as opposed to reacting to the person or things walking by your house, right? Or by your car, and try to redirect his attention to you and say, hey, you need to focus on me. I know that those other things are distracting, but hey, pay attention to me right now, and, you got to start with baby steps and, take it easy. I wouldn't say like do this for like an hour or so. I would say do it for like 10, 15 minutes because he's going to get at some point overstimulated with it all, especially in the beginning when he's not used to this, baby steps, maybe not even 10, 15 minutes, maybe just 5 minutes of somebody walking by your car and then you trying to redirect his attention. And when he does return his attention to you, give him a treat because that is him pulling away from his anxiety or his fear of this other person walking by and saying, okay. Or maybe if you wanted to even just pull into like a busy parking lot so he can see things from afar,
Mhm.
if you're like parked near the back of a parking lot or something like that, just leave your car running and just let him see things, like kind of exposure, but maybe so that he doesn't feel in the house, just not outside. Interesting. Okay.
Mhm.
Um,
To
So maybe if there's a way, I don't know how busy it is around your house, if there's a way to have somebody just come and walk by in front of your house or something like that, that, he screams like a human. Oh no. um, so yeah, so maybe there's some sort of anxiety or he perceives the people walking by as a threat. So my recommendation would be exposure therapy. Maybe go out into the yard with him when there are people walking by, if you can have a friend or a family member do this. And just try to redirect his attention with treats, and maybe if there's a spot in your yard, you can also work with placement training. So, like, you can have a bed outside, or something like that, and you teach them place first. So, like, without any distractions, without any other people walking around outside, you'll teach them place, and the bed is the place. Um, and then you can slowly add people walking in, and you'll have taught him the word place already, or bed, or whatever word you would like to use. And so maybe he'll, with treats as the motivation, be able to sort of wind down his reactivity that way.
So, what I also am feeling is I'm feeling just this strong connection that he has with you. And so your behavior is deeply affecting his behavior. He already is a fight or flight. He's in fight or flight mode. He feels like his nervous system is like constantly like this. And there's also, I feel like with your other, not your smaller, I'm looking at your picture, not your smaller Chihuahua, but this other dog, the other dog you have, I would be careful with those two because he's remembering an incident that happened with those two, and they're starting to build up some resentment. So I feel like I mean, if you haven't already, finding a really good trainer, um, to really, because he's not an aggressive dog. I don't feel he is. I feel like, there's a difference between reactive and aggressive, and he's not aggressive. Um, but he is, the other thing is resetting that nervous system, right? Like how humans need their nervous system reset. So how do you do that with a dog? Do you actually have recommendations for that, Alex?
Yeah, so I don't know if you all go on like group walks or anything like that, but what I recommend is getting them all into a neutral space. So like going on a walk together where they're on separate leashes, and they have enough, maybe if there's another person that can walk with you, it's like a pack walk. So essentially it kind of helps to reset some tension. Um, and usually that's how I recommend dogs getting introduced to one another, and just allowing each other to be in in each other's space without going nose to nose, because they never like nose to nose introductions with two dogs that are unfamiliar with each other. But since these dogs live together, it might just be a good way to, kind of shake off some of that tension in a walk where um, potentially they can, see other things. And I know if with a reactive dog um, that might not be the easiest thing to do. But if there's someplace quieter that you can go and, just take them all on a walk together, sometimes that helps to release some of the tension.
And if you've probably already tried it, but anything natural that you can try to help calm his nervous system until you guys, I'm sure over time it will also calm. And the other thing I wanted to say too was walking him by himself. If you're not already doing that more often, just you two. So he's and doing it in a way not where he's feeling like, it feels like if you aren't leading, like Alex was saying, cueing him, carrying treats, and you redirecting him, like you consciously doing that. If you don't do that, he will think he's in charge, and then he's going to start guarding you. This is what he's telling me. Again, I'm not a trainer, but he's going to start guarding you with the other dogs. So there has to be like it feels like there needs to be this stronger dom I don't like the word dominance, maybe there's a better word, leader position that you take, so that when you're at home, when if the dogs go at it or whatever that is, there's an instant response from him. He knows he knows she says she's okay. She's telling me I can be okay. So I'll be okay. Does that make sense? Because his nervous system right now doesn't know who to trust. Even it feels like it must be a new rescue for you because the relationship doesn't feel super solidified yet. And I know that can take up to a year to do. So there's a lot of, oh, you do walk them separately. And he does guard you already. Yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
him and your other dog, you got that I feel like is going to get worse if you don't nip that in the bud now with training and whatever that means. I don't, everything Alex said and then more.
Yes.
But he's
Yeah.
not like, he's not an aggressive dog. He's not a dog that needs to be put down. He's not a dog. Definitely a family dog. He's just had a bad run, and some of that will stick with him, but some of that he can shed. I'm trying to think. There's a I actually know a few people that do Reiki on animals. Start with that, and then start with obviously stuff that Alex said and other things that the trainer said. And if you're not getting results with your trainer, get a new trainer. It's just like with anyone, right? Doctors and whatever, you got to find one that's right for you. But Leon's
And
really
also, sorry to
go
cut
ahead.
you
No.
off there, Miriam. Also talk to your family veterinarian. There are certain medications that can help lower anxiety, and I'm not saying that that's something he for sure has, but it does seem like, there is a little bit there. And talk to them about, even behavioral things. Veterinarians are equipped to deal with that as well and might have some good recommendations either with trainers or with, I don't like to always just push medications on pets, but
Mhm.
maybe they could feel out whether that's something would be good for Leon to help calm him down and not make him so just amped up at all times. Because I would imagine, just based on what Miriam said, that would be really kind of like exhausting, to feel like
Mhm.
you're so amped up at all times. You can't really like completely relax or be calm, or be at peace
Mhm.
like you said. So there might be something to help him with that medically too.
And you know what? I'd like to share like a little bit of my experience because I have a dog who sounds similar to Leon, and we've had Oliver now for 8 7 8 years, and we the last thing I wanted to do was Prozac, and we put him on Prozac. I'm not in by any means saying Leon is there, but that was a very hard decision because I'm, all natural first, like driving the vets crazy. But it was that or what putting, you know, just his stress level was so high for no
Mhm.
reason all the time. He couldn't handle noise. He couldn't handle anything. And it was like, why are we making this dog suffer? Like nothing helped it, nothing changed it. And then the Prozac took the edge off, and he's been able to live. He's a pretty depressed dog in general. Like he doesn't like much, but it took the edge off. So again, I'm not saying that's what Leon needs. I'm just saying I know what it feels like to not want to do that or have to do that, but sometimes it is the best thing for them.
Right.
Sometimes. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Next we have Gigi. Now, I wanted to have you first answer a question, Alex, that I think is probably super common about
Okay.
chihuahuas and how much they shake.
Okay. um well, I've worked with a lot of chihuahuas in veterinary medicine. I don't know chihuahuas. I don't know too many chihuahuas outside of veterinary medicine, unfortunately. So I only get the chihuahuas that I see at the veterinary office. Um, And you know what? I can't tell you why it is that they shake. I don't know if it is nerves, like
Mhm.
I don't know. Some chihuahuas are like little mini land sharks, is what I like to call them. Some of them, don't like being at the vet's office, don't like being taken from their people. Some of them are just completely fine, and
Mhm.
I don't know, but um, I feel like the shaking just comes from being nervous and but I don't know why it would happen outside of the veterinary office unless they were put into like a new situation that made them uncomfortable. But gosh, they do shake.
They do, right?
Most of them do. Yeah, I
Mhm.
see it all the time. Or just I see it in little dogs too. I've seen it in Yorkies. I've seen it. You're welcome, Violet. I've seen it in just so many different types of little dogs. I feel like more frequently, but we do see it in larger pets sometimes too.
So her Maricela had kind of had a two-part. One was just she wanted to make sure her dog wasn't cold, and it doesn't. I don't feel like her dog is cold, and I've seen. We've all seen Chihuahuas just out, and the owners or the pet parents are like, "No, she shakes all the time," and they say she's fine. Um,
Yeah.
there is though, like it's interesting when you said nervous system because I don't know if you said nervous system, but I felt that and heard that
Nerves and or nervous
nerves.
system. Yes, just being overwhelmed.
Yeah, that this feels like it comes from I want to use I don't know if the word centuries is appropriate, but that's what came to me of inbreeding, and
Mhm.
it's just part of the DNA at this point, unfortunately. But looking really quickly at your baby, she's really cute and seems just fine to me, not freezing. Um, okay, so now let's talk about Gigi. So Gigi, let me find her story here. Here, Gigi, we want to know what we can do to make her more happy. Her name is, just so you know, short for Regina George from Mean Girls because she's not very friendly. um, so we want to know want to know what we can do, if anything, to make her happy. Oh, she is not. Listen, I'm going to clarify something for you. It's not that she's unhappy. She's just a little bitch. And she's perfectly fine being a little bitch. Like that doesn't make her unhappy. It might make you unhappy, but it doesn't make her unhappy. She's a First of all, she's beautiful. She knows she knows that. She's deeply confident and very she's fine. It's you. I don't this is not a cat who was unhappy. This is just like if a person was a bitch and people would be like, "Oh my god, they must be very unhappy in their life." And you know what? Some people are just snotty and bitchy and they're not unhappy in their lives. They're just like that. And that is your Gigi.
Miriam, is there a way to like enlarge the picture? I think I'm seeing her Gigi's coloring here, but I just want to make sure that I'm not wrong. So she looks like a dilute tortie to me. And
Does that help?
yeah, yeah, a little bit. Sorry. We can adjust it back. I just needed to see. So oftentimes, and this is very strange, and I don't know why it happens, but in veterinary medicine, we always look at cat colors that helps determine part of their behavior. And I don't know
Oh.
why specifically, but you know the term like black cat, black cats, already are
Mhm,
like kind of associated with maybe being little voids, they're kind of
mhm,
like want their own space, but
mhm,
again, will cuddle you when they want to, like
mhm.
sort of on their own terms. And I have a black cat who, does exactly that,
Oh,
like only
interesting.
wants attention. Yeah, only wants attention when he wants it. But for Tortie, the dilute tortoiseshell cats. Torties are notoriously notoriously kind of bitchy, if
Oh,
that makes
really?
sense. Yes, we see them in the hospital all the time, and if
That's
we see
funny.
a tortie cat, we're like, oh, we're this might end up being we need to sedate this pet in order to handle her appropriately and without anybody getting hurt, both for ourselves and for the pet. And we often see that also with calicos. And I am not sure why that is, but their reputation in the color alone, their fur color alone precedes them,
Mm,
because oftentimes they are very, we call them short fuse cats,
mm,
where they'll tolerate only so much, and then they flip
yeah.
a switch and they are angry, they are upset with whatever it is you're doing, and they will let you know about it. It's very interesting, and maybe it just seems like that is part of Gigi's just behavior and she's fine with it.
Wow. That's crazy. That is so fascinating.
Hmm.
All right. Well, love that Gigi's not afraid to be herself. She is not. I mean, you
Love that
guys,
for
it
her.
doesn't take a psychic. Like, look at that face. You know what I mean? It's
She
just
seems perfectly content.
totally, and also just perfectly bitchy. Just perfectly content and bitchy. That is funny. All right. That was an easy one. Sorry. Sorry that you, I mean, so many of us have bitchy cats, so we're all right there
Yes.
with you.
Yes.
Okay. Let me see who's up next. Ruby. Okay, let me get Ruby up here. Ruby's here. And let's see.
Ooh.
Ruby is 6 months ago he started pooping outside the box. He pees in the box but just won't poop in it. She's tried extra litter, different litter, unscented litter, even bought a rubber mat to put the litter box on, and he pooped right next to it. He's my buddy, and I think it's a behavior more than an illness. Maybe you could help. He's not going anywhere. I love him. I'm more curious as to why. Okay. Yeah, me too. So let's see what Ruby's deal is. Let me pull up some pictures um, of Ruby. Ruby. This is going to sound crazy. Of course, everything I say sounds crazy. There's something that scares Ruby. Something is scaring him. Like, and it's not I don't think there's a real thing scaring him. Uh, but there's something, wait, do you have other pets? I don't think so. I'm looking. It's just Ruby and you. Okay. Uh, something scaring him. And is there something wrong with his anal glands? And so when I say it's scaring him, there's this sense of like, do I want to say, why is my body doing that? And so there's just this almost a little disoriented. I don't know if she had him checked out. I'm not necessarily feeling anything serious as much as there's this kind of like, you know how like cats will do that, if or dogs will do that if there's something on their bum and they start to freak out, that's what it's
Yeah.
feeling like to me, like something spooking him just a bit, to be like, to sort of throw him off. And I don't what I'm having trouble figuring out is if what's spooking him is physical, or what's spooking him is like an emotional response to something, because there isn't any energies in the home. It's not an outside energy or anything like that. So Alex, you weigh in. Maybe you know something I don't.
Well, I know that just like dogs, cats do, have anal glands and do express them through pooping. So that is when, animals on a, good diet for them, the anal glands naturally express themselves. But sometimes for whatever reason, and we don't exactly always know why, sometimes it's the diet that they're on. It just doesn't fit with their body. And sometimes those anal glands can get a little backed up because if they're not expressed as naturally as they should be. So that can happen to cats as well. Unfortunately, cats are much harder to express anal glands on. Usually, from a veterinary perspective, dogs have just a little bit easier time expressing their anal glands either themselves or we are able to help them more so. But cats, we have to express them externally. So, like, there's no way that we can fully tell that we're expressing them. It's hard to describe, but and sort of hard to describe because it's also like kind of gross to talk about mostly. um,
Fair enough.
but what happened?
I said fair enough. We don't need to know. We're
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Didn't want to go into that totally. But yes, cats can experience issues with their anal glands, and it can go so far as to becoming impacted or getting infected and would need antibiotics to not have a anal gland rupture, which is essentially an infection that goes so far to cause externally, like you can see the anal glands externally, and it causes like an open wound near their bum. So, I think perhaps for Ruby, if you're feeling, Miriam, like that's an issue for him or something that's worrying him, would be worth getting checked out, make sure there's not something else going on. But I also wonder, you said about 6 months ago he started pooping outside the box. Was there any sort of major stressor or change? You add some pumpkin puree. He does run out of the litter box after he also sees also. Okay. Um, okay.
Sorry, what were
Yeah,
you
sorry. I'm just
asking?
reading all of your
No, that's
comments
okay. I'm
here.
trying to find what else she said. Sorry. There was a note of something. What is
Um,
Kim? What was your no to when I asked something? But go ahead, keep going.
sorry, I got distracted. What uh yeah, so any other stressors in his life at that point 6 months ago where like you moved to a new place or there's somebody new in the house or anything that could be perceived as a stressor? Did you like rearrange your home or anything like that? Or if there was another animal, right? Anything that could cause him to have some sort of anxiety or that would change his normal routine. It would, I mean, that's just something I think about. That was one of the first things that I thought about was when I saw this. Um, could there be another outside source causing his anxiety and causing him to poop elsewhere besides inside the box? Also, sometimes my cats also poop outside the box. I'm not saying that I don't know if he just misses sometimes because sometimes there will be poop in the box, sometimes there will be poop outside of the box. So I'm just sort of like, eh. um, I know you said it doesn't change how you feel about him and you love him, and I'm in that boat, so I get it. Um, but in my case, it just seems like he just sort of misses the inside of the box because I have big cats, and so I try to get an appropriately sized litter box. So maybe that's part of an issue too. But since they're so big, I think their butt sometimes hangs out. So, or they just position themselves that way. Cats are silly. I don't entirely know, but every once in a while I'll just come into the bathroom where I have their litter box and there's just there's just poop on the floor. And I'm like, all right, time to clean that up. But
So
yeah, it's
yeah. So that's interesting. Isn't it funny how with cats, feel like we're always going to be going, it's a cat. What are you going to do? Right.
yes.
um, so, so she's saying that Ruby, sorry, did I get Ruby's pronoun wrong? I thought that you had said he, but either way, please apologize to Ruby. You're saying it started after you rearranged the room. Oh, there it is. I'd rather have him poop than pee on the floor. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
I
true.
would too. Cat pee
Um,
stinks, so I would also rather that.
so what's interesting though is she's saying it started after she rearranged the bedroom. And you know what's
Mm.
funny is right before you posted that comment, Kim, I was going to ask if there was construction going on around your home. For some reason that came to me that like I saw construction and noise and change. And so then when you said that, I thought I wonder if that is the thing is though, if that's what it is, um wouldn't it at some point wouldn't he at some point go back to normal?
It depends. Like, I feel like oftentimes cats are like very much creatures of habit, you know. They like sort of what they like again, you know, a cat, you know. So like he might have really liked the way or got comfortable. I don't know how old Ruby is, but he looks like he's sort of a younger cat. Um
Mhm.
and so it's sort of hard to, you know, sort of rearrange something that maybe he got um you already put everything back the way that it was. So hard to know because he's 11. Oh, okay, so he's not a young cat at all. Maybe
I
it's just
thought he looked
the
young too.
picture yeah, he does look young. I
Yeah.
was getting young cat. But if he had things a certain way for so long and then
Mhm,
something suddenly changed, you know,
mhm,
it might not have been like rebellion, but he might have been like, oh, I'm uncomfortable, you know, like
mhm,
why is this new suddenly, you know, like kind
mhm,
of thrown off balance in a way.
mhm. Yeah, I agree. So I guess if we put the pieces together of everything you and I have said, it sounds like there's this initial fear, something's changed. What is my body doing? You might want to check it out if it doesn't stop. Although I did see construction or moving things around. You did that in the bedroom. You put things back. Alex, tell me if you think this is a fair assessment. Give it a little bit more time. And then if nothing changes, I would definitely get him checked out to double check. And if there's nothing wrong with him, it's in a, it's like I was saying that like when I first mentioned it, I was like, he's scared of something that isn't there. So, if it's not something physical, if it's not something feeling strange, when I say it's something that wasn't there, maybe it was the changing of the room. Everything's the same, it's just the room is different, but for him it feels like something is there and it's not.
Right.
So give it some time and then sort of go through the checkoff list.
Right. And that's exactly what I would recommend at this point, you know. If he, you know, seems otherwise irritated by his bum and nothing is, you know, even the time and the, you know, rearranging of the room back to the way it was, if that is not helping him. You could also try something that I like to use on my own cats. It's called Feel Away. It's a cat pheromone that helps to reduce stress. So you could obviously they have like I don't know if you've heard of like Pure Wick or anything like that, where you can plug it into the wall and it releases a scent that makes your, you know, room or bathroom or something like that smell good. They have one for cats specifically, and it releases this pheromone in like a timed
Mhm.
um on a timer essentially, and it
Mm.
could help reduce stress in the bathroom for him, especially if that's where he's been feeling stress. So that's an option as well. And I don't think they're super expensive, but you can find them on Amazon easily, or Chewy, I'm sure.
That's a great recommendation, actually, across the board for all of us who have cats.
Yes.
Okay, so do you have a story from the ER that you want to share that's not too sad?
Yes, I do have. I have a lot of stories that can range from sad to silly to, really happy. So, uh, I we saw a patient, and I'm gonna name her Penny for this sake because I don't want to say her actual name. But we had Penny come into the ER. Penny is at the time she was about a 2-year-old golden Labrador, so yellow lab. Just super happy, really silly, wagging her tail at absolutely everything. Uh, she's cute because she doesn't seem like she has a single thought going on in her head at any point in time. And Penny had been not interested in food, which for a Labrador, as you know, is very unusual. Labradors love to eat, love treats, love putting things in their mouths. And I think she had also started vomiting when we first saw her.
Mm.
So one of our first recommendations for pets that come into the ER for vomiting and or diarrhea usually is to do a diagnostic workup, which means full lab work, a CBC, chemistry, electrolytes. We'll also run a PCV, which is just checks packed cell volume. And then we also like to do x-rays. In this case for vomiting and diarrhea, we will focus for, abdominal x-rays
Mhm.
on dogs. And so we did that and we discovered that Penny had eaten rocks. um, and for the life of us, we couldn't figure out why is this dog eating rocks, but at that point we're like, okay, well, now they're in her small intestine. So the way that we initially start treatment for this is we will hospitalize them for about 12 to 24 hours on supportive care and fluids, so IV fluids, and try and get them rehydrated.
Mhm.
So potentially their body can push those foreign objects or foreign material along through their intestine to see if it moves and things like that. And having them hydrated is something, and giving them GI protectants at the same
Mhm.
time
Mhm.
can sometimes help those objects move. So we did this, and then the next morning we took X-rays of her abdomen again to try and see if the rocks had moved, and the rocks had not moved. So unfortunately, this meant we had to go in surgically to remove them. And so we did this, and gave Dad a lot of recommendations. She was hospitalized with us, for about 24 hours after that surgery. We call it exploratory laparotomy,
Mhm.
essentially. And we do have surgeons at our hospital that will do that surgery. Um, and we gave Dad a whole bunch of recommendations to, if she's eaten rocks before, it's likely that she'll do it again, right?
Mhm.
Um, so so Penny became a regular for us.
Oh God. I hope
We
Dad is
saw her
rich.
about we saw her about 9 more times for eating rocks. Um, 3 times I believe that she was able to pass them on her own, meaning she pooped them out.
Uh-huh.
The rest of the time we had to go in surgically to remove them. And by the end, by like I would say the ninth or 10th time that this dog had eaten rocks, I don't know if it was a compulsion for her to eat rocks, but Dad had to give up because um, he he I think he's an older gentleman, so he had trouble kind of monitoring her in the
Yeah.
backyard, but after all the recommendations we gave him, he offered to release his dog to us because he couldn't afford it anymore. And he was wondering if we would be able to help him find his, like, rehome his dog to owners who would better be able to monitor her and keep her away from eating rocks. And so one of our veterinarians who works in a general practice in the
Mm-hmm.
same building as us decided to take Penny home. And now uh, Penny lives with her and has not eaten any rocks for almost 6 months, which is kind of a new record, seeing as Lulu's, I believe, now 4 years old. Um, so in the course of the 2 year span 2.5 year span where we knew Penny, she had
Mm-hmm.
eaten rocks several times, like
Hmm.
10 times or so. So we are happy that Penny is no longer eating rocks and we don't have to see her in the hospital anymore, because as much as we love her, there were some times where it got a little scary, where she might not survive another
Mm-hmm.
surgery. So that was why Dad made the choice to rehome her. So I
Wow.
think he made the right choice, but obviously it
Mm-hmm.
was a very difficult decision for him.
Oh,
But,
I can imagine. But
yeah,
interesting that she stopped. So whatever was causing that behavior disappeared when
right,
she went somewhere else.
right.
Wow, that is a
Hmm.
trip.
Yeah.
What an incredible story. Gosh, I thought my dog was about. Oh yes, I saw that tennis ball. I was going to ask you
Mhm.
like what the strangest thing that you've seen come out of an animal.
Mhm. I've seen a lot of things come out of animals. I have seen um, dogs are gross. I've seen used tampons.
Oh, I bet.
I've seen underwear. I saw a vibrator once. I mean, sorry, those are all sort of explicit. I helped a Great Dane at one point vomit up 12 hamburgers that he had pulled off the grill itself. So, I've seen tri-tip, like, owner bought $40 worth of tri-tip at Costco and, cooked it, and the dog just helped themselves. I've seen
Wow.
plastic earbuds. I've seen a whole bunch of things. Like, dogs just will eat pretty much anything. And then
Wow.
unfortunately, I've seen some of the sadder things like rat bait, some
Oh
things that are
yeah.
a little bit more toxic. So those are always
Hmm.
difficult cases as
Well,
well.
what did I think I was gonna? What did I think I was gonna get when I asked? So I knew I shouldn't have asked. I don't know how. I don't know how you stomach working there. That's. I mean, that's not for, just like it's not for everyone to be a nurse. It's takes a very
Yeah.
special person to be able to see all that. Um. Oh my god. So
Sorry.
I I asked.
Yeah, I know.
My
That's
mom's
fair.
probably like, "Why would you ask?" Because I'm curious. Okay. Now I'm no longer
Mhm.
curious. Mika. So Mika's story is kind of interesting because they say sometimes she will stare at me, meaning her pet parent, intensely, like she's trying to speak with me. Her personality is so human like, I feel she has been here before. My husband and I always say she was a human once and she lived a luxurious life. Also wondering if she was in a fire before. So let me check out her pictures, but I would think, you've experienced that, Alex, where you feel you animals come through and you feel like they're looking right through you or right into your soul.
Definitely. I also have a dog that seems much like Mika, who I feel like is very intuitive in her interactions with just people in general.
Mhm.
She seems like she's very smart. So I definitely understand the staring into your soul, because my dog will also do that quite frequently. And she's very smart, so she understands usually what I'm saying to her.
And what I think is interesting about that is not all animals are like that. And if you've
Yeah.
had many dogs or cats or any type of animal, and the ones that aren't like that doesn't mean anything negative. It just means they're not like that. They're whatever that is, whatever that thing is. Um,
Mhm.
so Shaniqua's mom and the family has really beautiful energy. It's like there's this what I found see when I read, for anyone that's never seen me do this before, I ask her pictures of everybody in the family, animals included, because I want to see sometimes what the animal's reacting, who the animal's reacting off of, or what the animal's reacting off of. And in this case, I find it really interesting because mom and dad are an example of like a soulmated relationship, um in a positive way, because we all know sometimes soulmates can really be great teachers, which in other words means watch out. But these two have a really sweet connection, and so typically there's no hard and fast rules when it comes to the universe, other than maybe one or two things. And I say that because no one really knows the totality of how the universe functions. So we never want to say it never or it always. Typically, though, when we are reincarnating, we start out, at an elemental level and then work our way through, plant, insect, animal kingdom into humans. To clarify, not because humans are better or wiser. Unfortunately, we know that that's not necessarily the case. It's just what I have experienced and what I have heard other gurus speak to. They've said the same thing. Okay. So we don't always, we rarely see humans moving back down into an animal. It tends to go the other way. I say that because there was this sense of, I feel a child in or around Mika. And it doesn't feel right that Mika was human and came back, but yet I'm feeling a child around her. So my question would be, did someone in on either side of the family lose a child? And this child is right there next to Mika. Mika already being a very intuitive and evolved of her kind. I don't feel her coming back into animal form. I feel her transitioning into human. To clarify, animals can and do more often than not rotate through different animal forms before becoming human. So it's not unusual, right, for an animal to um, rotate through a different animal before it moves up to human. So for in this situation, though, Mika's on her last life as a animal, will be moving into human. She's deeply intuitive, enlightened, aware, conscious, compassionate, soulful, but I feel a child sitting right next to her. And so there's this sense of, who's this child? Uh, and this child is together, they're watching over you guys. And there's also this fairy type energy connected to that. And so it's like Mika just is this conduit for all these like this fairy and this child spirit that are so bright and light and loving, just surrounding her. And I feel her just carrying that light, carrying that energy, and it infuses with her. So it's, yes, it's her looking through your soul, yes, it's her that is enlightened, but you're also seeing and experiencing these other presence that I mentioned as you look in her eyes, which is why you're feeling this sense of, who is she and where did she come from? um so this life for her, I don't, I think you guys got her a little bit later in life, because it feels like there was something Let me reread what I said about her. I think that she came in later on. Hold on, I'm just double checking because I don't always include all the information because it's a lot to put in here. Yes. She has panic attacks. And you have to take her out for walks so she doesn't panic while you're cooking. This is what I find interesting. She is very private, does not like to play with her toys in front of anyone. She prefers to be alone. I find that really interesting because to me, that's feeling just like a personality trait. It just feels like a
Yes.
personality trait, right? There's not, I
Mhm.
don't feel like there's anything more to that. But I feel like I kind of offered up a lot of loaded stuff. Do you have anything you'd like to add? I know there isn't anything specific, but
Not necessarily specific. I think pets can be much like people with their personality in a sense. They have their own behaviors, they have their own way of doing things, their own habits that they develop, things like that. So my dog also doesn't generally, openly play with people, unless she like really loves them, so and she'll play with me, she'll play with one of my coworkers who frequently gives her massages, which she loves, and she'll be playful about that. But otherwise, she's kind of more of a mellow dog and kind of soulful dog. So
mhm,
in a sense, I feel like Mika is probably very similar in that
mhm,
aspect, and it doesn't mean that she's not happy, but it just means that she has the way that she does things, and that's okay.
mhm,
But behaviorally, I don't have very much to add because it does seem like she's happy to be where she is, and it seems like she chose to be where she is.
mhm,
So I think you guys are the right people for her.
mhm.
Mhm.
And that's what I was gonna ask how long you've had her because she's tired. And I don't mean I know she looks obviously a little bit older. I don't want to age shame her, but she seems a little older. And her soul is a bit tired. Like she got her ass kicked a bit this time around before she landed with you guys, which is and so it's like as soon as she found you guys there was this sense of okay, I'm not gonna try, like I'm beat, like I'm tired, and so she could finally just let go. There was some, it's like she was like this and then once you guys connected she just let it all go, and there's like this sense of not putting on airs or feeling like she needs to be on the lookout. She just let go in a good way, in a good way. So, this is one of those very happy endings. This is a deeply evolved animal who we're watching getting ready to prep to move into a human form, who, her pet parents see that in her eyes, see her, this fairy energy, this child energy. It's just a perfect scenario altogether. I think before, it feels like before you there was a one person she was with, male, um who was a bit aggressive and uh
Mm.
was a very isolated, or she had a very isolated existence. It feels like there may have been two or three families that she was in prior to you, and um this one in particular is what sort of left that imprint on her: the neglect, the isolation, the fear, the anger. And it wasn't always directed at her as much as this dog being so deeply sensitive was feeling it all, was picking up on it all. And she actually took care of herself very well, where she would remove herself from situations to not get hurt. Um, and but I mean, this is just like the perfect ending for a dog like her to find you guys. Yeah, everyone feels the same thing.
Aw,
um, yeah, she is.
little diva. That's very cute.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with all of
Mhm.
that. I mean, this is just like that soulmated, just beautiful blend. Thank you for sharing her with us, because that was a really sweet read. Very, very nice. I mean, all of them are, but some better than others. Leo and Wilson, these two little shits. Why do why do Leo and Wilson not get along? Wilson is the youngest of my cats, but he treats Leo like his prey.
Mm.
Ugh, freaking cats, man. I said we're going to be saying this a lot. All right.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So Wilson being the youngest, I have a question about how he was raised. Was Wilson a bottle baby by chance? And that's what I want to know. Because sometimes behaviors such as, like attacking another cat or not learning boundaries that certain cats can set with each other,
Mhm.
um, can be something that is taught when young cats are playing with each other. So, like as kittens.
Oh,
So sometimes there's that sort of teacher, and then there's sometimes mom who can also teach those lessons. But I part of me wonders, if he was a bottle baby at all, and if not, that's fine. There's probably
mhm.
multiple reasons why he could be acting aggressively, but I just wanted to know if you knew the answer to that.
Interesting. Let's see. I don't know if Lindsay's in the comment. Lindsay's here. No, he was not a bottle baby.
Okay,
You're welcome. Thank you for
you're
sharing
welcome.
her.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna start to sound like a broken record. It's like, yeah, we get it. All cats are a-holes, but no, they're not all a-holes. Um, Wilson, though, Wilson, there's this which I'm curious to see if may not to put you on the spot, Alex, maybe you don't know, but who do you have there?
I have Mouse. He's being a rascal right now. Because I think I've said this before, unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but I just circumstantially am living with my parents right now. So this is the one room that he's not supposed to come into.
That's right. Yes.
But yes, and he gets upset if we're separated for too long. He kind of, needs to come in and make sure everything's okay. So this is Mouse, and he's my little one-eyed little kitty here.
So
And
cute.
he's a good boy, but he knows how to push buttons is
He
what he
does.
knows how to do. And then he acts like he has done nothing wrong afterward. So I'm going to remove him because he got his little exploring time.
He acts like he's done nothing wrong. All right. Wilson.
Yes.
Wilson
Sorry, go ahead.
is the only way I can say this is he feels like he is uh in better than, and uh honestly would do best being the only cat. Um he feels like he's better, like if he was human he'd feel like he was better than everybody else, like he was smarter, he knew more. Whether he did or not was not relevant. But that's his behavior, it's like, no, like, this is, I know better, and or just sort of this sense of get out of my space. um it and there's this, oh, Yes. Lion energy. Lion energy. King of his kingdom, controlling the kingdom. I've seen this more often than not with cats in particular. They really struggle going from wild to domestic. I mean, because it really is a transition. Like, from just solely from my experience, again, not saying anything set in stone, but you go from domesticated to human. You're not going from lion to human. Uh, my experience, you could. Anything's possible. I'm not God, but uh, this is an animal who really is struggling with not no longer being in the wild and no longer being able to be king of his jungle, um and doesn't like it. He doesn't like it.
Mm.
He doesn't like being a domesticated animal. I'm not saying he wants to be feral or on the streets. No, he wants to go back to being a lion. He doesn't like being a domesticated cat. I've seen this before. And next question is, what can I do? Alex, do you have any recommendations?
Um, I know I mentioned feel away earlier, but so I don't um I don't really have any great recommendations because sometimes cats getting along with each other is so hard to navigate, especially if they're already both adults. Sometimes they're both already so set in their ways. And, I don't know too much about Leo, but from what Wilson sounds like, he's just gonna think he's the greatest thing on four legs. And so when you said he might be best as a one pet in a one pet household or one cat household, sometimes I've seen dogs like this, and I've had to recommend to people, like this dog, this pet, might be best in a single pet household, and I'm not saying that you need to rehome Wilson or anything like that, but just move forward with the fact that, he thinks of himself very highly is what
Mhm.
it seems like. So you can try to do things to like mitigate Wilson's behavior against Leo, such as, kind of keeping them separate. I don't know if they've gotten into fights or anything like that. Obviously, that it can become a medical issue where if they bite each other, it can turn into abscesses, things like that. Scratches can as well, but usually bites do more damage between cats. Um, and then you can try the feel away, like I mentioned earlier. You can buy those plugins for around your house. They also have just like spray options that helps sometimes between my two cats. Oh, and it can be scary for you too, because sometimes, sorry, I'm just reading the comments,
Mhm.
where you have to pull them apart when they're fighting. Sometimes pets, even though they don't mean to. Sometimes they're in such a high state of reactivity that they redirect their aggression toward you,
Mhm.
whether they mean to or not. They're just so amped up that suddenly something else is touching them and they're like, and it can take them a moment to come down from that energy. Much like if you got into a fight and then somebody else started interacting with you at the same time, it's sort of in that area. So you can also get bitten or scratched in that same way, unfortunately. So just be careful. A good thing that you can use to distract them would be to spray water on them. Unfortunately, that's not always the most fun. Or if you are going to pull them apart, sometimes using like a towel or something to cover them or cover one of them, sort of to just like remove one pet from the area where the
Mhm.
tension is. Um, but it's hard when two cats just really don't get along with each other, because then you feel like you kind of have to separate them and
Mhm.
allow one cat out at a time or something along those lines, and that's a very hard divide to have in your house. So I feel for that. And I know a few people who have had that, either between dogs or cats, it's kind of a hard divide.
And it's funny, she's got another cat named Finn, and Finn just sits there and is like, watches, like,
What is happening?
yeah, what is wrong with these
Yeah,
two? Like, this is
yeah,
insane. And
yeah.
Finn, but Finn's also not like one that would get involved, is more like, you guys need to figure your shit out. I can't help you with this. And Leo,
Hmm.
what's interesting, because Leo's like, if Leo were a person, he'd be saying, I'm not going to just set, some cats, like with some dogs, they're passive personalities and they'll sort of, and Leo's like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to back down. I'm not going to allow this to happen to me.
Yeah.
So I don't know how long you've had these guys. It sounds like rock in a hard place. Maybe some, like you said, the pheromones. Is that what you said? To be able
Yeah,
to
you
calm
can.
Wilson.
Yeah, so it's called Feel Away. It's
Oh, that's right.
Eli Way. And you can look it up. They sell it on Amazon and on Chewy. Um, and you can, install them in outlets around your house, if you feel like it'll help. And I mean, that's the easiest way I can feel that will just kind of give them a constant
Mhm,
stream of these pheromones that are supposed to naturally relax them.
mhm.
And it's a pheromone that are naturally produced within the cat's bodies that helps calm them down. So I feel like that might be something to give it a try.
Mhm.
So other separate so that you don't have these fights that break out between them would be my best. Um,
I was thinking the same thing that Violet was saying,
yeah.
is there just a place that could be Wilson's, and Wilson may, or Leo for that matter, where one of them, because I feel like if Leo had his own space, he may not, um whatever that means, he may not venture out as much and have those interactions with Wilson. And I don't know that, like, so this is an interesting response, and fair. For me, I don't feel separate spaces. That's not what I feel. I feel like Leo, Leo, not Wilson. Leo needs to have something that's his, not
Mm,
separate, but whether it's a room that no other cat's allowed in, whether it's, and I know Finn's okay, but there's just some sort of, just, if Leo had a space no one else was allowed in, and Leo could come and go from that space. I don't, I know this is insane. I know how hard it is to have animals. And it sucks when you have them from the beginning and you're hoping that everyone's going to get along and they don't. Um, and it feels like it's easier to navigate a separate space for Leo, not rehoming, just within your home, and that will help ease a little bit of tension. And then with Wilson getting some calming energy, whether it's herbal or otherwise, that will help ease it. I don't know that you have to fully go to rehoming Wilson. That those two things feel like it could bring down the tension, and
yeah.
and then you can almost foresee potential fights before they happen. Yeah. All right. I've got a 7 o'clock that I have to get ready for. So for those of you guys watching, obviously I'll be late. I'm always late. But this was a lot of fun. And so if I
Mhm.
didn't get to you, which I know some of you guys I didn't get to you, we will add you to the next one. Okay. So I apologize for that. We were on an hour and a half. Didn't I thought we'd get to everything, and we didn't, but I know we've got a couple left over. I will keep you guys in the queue. And thank you for submitting. You can submit via DM or email. Patreon members get first come, first serve. The busier we get, um, yeah, you may want to
Yeah.
check us out over on Patreon. Alex and I aren't, Alex isn't over on Patreon yet, but if things keep going well, we will set something up over there. Thank you very much, you guys. This was a blast. We post reaction videos on TikTok on at Miriam Farish and on Alex's page. What is your page, Alex?
It's A Seeley 93.
So we'll put that down below so you can also
Yeah.
follow Alex. And then I will let you guys know as soon as we have our next date set. Thank you very much. Thank you, Alex, for doing this.
Of course. Thank you for inviting me. It's been a pleasure. And I've, loved hearing about your pets and, hope for more in the future. So it's been really fun and really interesting for me. So thank you. I
All right.
appreciate everybody for being here.
Thank you, guys. Good night.